The purple-gold flames surged wildly, darkening the sky and covering everything within sight. The terrifying heat spread, causing the vast divine transformation pool to boil. A wave of destruction radiated from the purple-gold flames. Under such devastating fire, even a Saint-grade heavenly supreme would likely be reduced to ash. With a gulp, the powerful beings of the divine beast race surrounding the pool turned pale as they watched the swirling purple-gold flames in the water mirror. Despite the vast distance, they could faintly feel the intense heat emanating from the pool. It was almost unimaginable what kind of excruciating burn Chen, trapped in the flames, must have endured. Faced with such an assault, they couldn't fathom how Chen could possibly defend against it. On a nearby peak, Patriarch Tian Huang stood, blood drained from his face, his palms clenched tight, despair flickering in his eyes. The attack from Huang Xuanzhi was unstoppable. At the closest point to the divine transformation pool, Phoenix Queen Huang Jin gazed at the purple-gold flames with a satisfied smile. She nodded slightly, acknowledging that Chen had pushed Xuanzhi to this point, demonstrating his exceptional skill. However, she knew that in the end, the victor would not be him. Compared to her son, Huang Xuanzhi, Chen was still lacking. I just hope this boy's life is tough enough. If he dies here, it'll be troublesome if his mother goes mad, Huang Jin mused, a slight sigh escaping her lips. Behind her, the Phoenix clan elders also nodded with smiles. As the strong beings around the pool reflected on the situation, the purple-gold flames finally began to dissipate after burning for a long moment. The underwater scene slowly returned to normal. Everyone's gaze immediately turned toward the spot where Chen had been. But as the flames vanished, they froze in shock. A massive purple-gold lotus flower floated quietly at the bottom of the sea, its petals tightly closed in a bud, radiating an immortal glow. Though the petals showed signs of scorching, it was clear to all that the purple-gold flames had not destroyed it. What is that? It can withstand the burning of the purple-gold phoenix flames, a strong voice cried out in shock. Amidst the exclamations, the purple-gold lotus erupted with billions of beams of light. The petals slowly unfolded, revealing a massive figure of an immortal golden body inside. Standing atop it, Chen calmly held his hands behind his back, his robe fluttering, completely unharmed. How is this possible? The horrified voices echoed from the strong beings, as well as from Huang Xuanzhi, whose face showed disbelief. He knew all too well how terrifying his previous attack had been. Yet, he never imagined Chen could emerge from the purple-gold fire unscathed. That mysterious purple-gold lotus clearly possessed unimaginable defensive power, able to withstand his fatal assault. This damn kid, how did he manage to master such an astonishing defensive divine art? Such a powerful true phoenix soul incinerating fan, Chen remarked calmly, a glint of cold light flashing in his eyes. He couldn't help but admit that Huang Xuanzhi's methods had exceeded his expectations. If it weren't for his strongest defensive art, the immortal golden lotus, he would have suffered greatly from that attack. You really are troublesome. No wonder you caused such chaos in the Futu ancient clan, Huang Xuanzhi said with a cold, grim tone. He couldn't accept that Chen had withstood his lethal move. Chen smiled and slowly clenched his fist, speaking calmly, your killing move is over. Now it's my turn, isn't it? Huang Xuanzhi's eyes narrowed. Then he sneered, oh? What will you do? It's true that I can't kill you, but do you really think you can do anything to me? Chen's many tricks had already given Huang Xuanzhi a headache. He now understood that defeating Chen today was impossible. However, Huang Xuanzhi, still proud, was certain that while he couldn't defeat Chen, the latter wouldn't be able to do anything to him either. Chen, I acknowledge your abilities are not weak. If you hand over the Netherworld Undying Phoenix bloodline to me, I'll give you 30% of this Saint-grade blood essence I hold, 60% in total, Huang Xuanzhi said slowly, his eyes flickering. Chen smiled at those words and replied, of course I want that Saint-grade blood essence. But not just 30%, I want all of it. And the bloodline? You won't get your hands on it. How shameless. Huang Xuanzhi burst into laughter, though anger burned in his eyes. He had intended to take a softer approach and negotiate, yet not only did Chen refuse, he even arrogantly demanded all of the blood essence as if it were already his. Then let's see if you're even qualified to take it. Huang Xuanzhi's voice grew cold. Behind his head, rings of ancient golden light gathered once more, condensing into a terrifying aura. Whoosh. Chen didn't waste another word. He exhaled deeply, and with both hands forming a seal, the black and white avatars perched on the shoulders of his immortal golden body mirrored his every move. A low voice echoed in his mind. One chi transforms 3 purities, 3 merges realm. Swish. As the words fell, the two figures, one black, one white, suddenly transformed into streams of light, shooting straight into Mu Chen's body. The instant they fused with him, his pitch-black eyes exploded with radiant, profound light, like twin dazzling stars. His spiritual body underwent a dramatic transformation. Once radiant and gemstone-like, it now gleamed like translucent glazed jade, more refined, more concentrated. Torrents of spiritual energy surged through him like countless furious dragons roaring within. The terrifying force made his spiritual fluctuations skyrocket, rising uncontrollably. Even the surrounding seawater responded, stirring up great waves under the pressure. Huang Xuanzhi's face changed drastically as he stared at Mu Chen. He could clearly sense the spiritual pressure erupting from Mu Chen's body, skyrocketing straight into the late spirit grade and still climbing. Within mere seconds, it reached peak spiritual grade. But what shook Huang Xuanzhi the most was that the surge hadn't stopped. It was still climbing, steadily and unyieldingly, until, right before his stunned eyes, Mu Chen's strength broke through into the initial immortal grade. Damn it! How could his spiritual energy spike to such terrifying heights? Even with his usually calm demeanor, Huang Xuanzhi couldn't help but exclaim in shock. At this very moment, Mu Chen had reached the same realm as him. Spiritual light pulsed from his eyes like tangible waves. Mu Chen slowly clenched his hand, warping the very space in his palm. As he felt the terrifying spiritual energy flowing through him, even he was shaken. He hadn't expected the three merges realm of one chi transforms three purities to boost his strength this dramatically. He had used the three merges realm before, but only forcefully, with incomplete fusion. Now, however, with his significantly enhanced power, what was once unreachable had become fully attainable. This was his first time activating the completed form of the three merges realm, and its effects had far exceeded his expectations. Lifting his head, Mu Chen looked at Huang Xuanzhi in the distance, whose expression had turned extremely grim. With a faint smile, he said, "Now I'm initial immortal grade 2. It's only temporary. Once it's over, you'll be back to your original state." Huang Xuanzhi growled. His keen eyes saw through it immediately. Mu Chen's rise couldn't last. If he dragged it out long enough, Mu Chen would revert, perhaps even become weakened. "You're not wrong." Mu Chen nodded with a smile. Flicking his long fingers, spiritual light rippled through the air as space trembled. His tone remained flat. "But this time is more than enough to deal with you. Delusional fool." Huang Xuanzhi snarled. Mu Chen laughed freely and no longer wasted his breath. He took a deep breath, his hand seals shifting once more. A beam of light shot skyward from his heavenly spirit cap, transforming into a massive, ancient crystalline pagoda. The pagoda spun slowly, then trembled. Suddenly, it began to writhe. To Huang Xuanzhi's horror, 8 demon-like statues emerged from within the pagoda, encircling its body like dark guardians. The 8 towering demon golems stood ominously, exuding an overwhelming, fierce malevolence. A subtle pressure emanated from them, causing even Huang Xuanzhi to feel his heart race with unease. Sensing the shift, Huang Xuanzhi's face darkened, growing increasingly grim. It was clear to him, after being pressed and battered for so long, Mu Chen had finally ignited his true fire, ready to reveal his trump cards. "I refuse to believe it." Huang Xuanzhi's eyes flashed with a vicious glint. "Even if you forcibly reached the initial immortal grade, how could you possibly compare to me, a genuine immortal of the same level?" As his voice echoed, a ring of ancient golden light began to form behind him, radiating with vast energy that exploded into waves of power. Witnessing this intense standoff, many powerful beings from the divine beast clans felt their eyelids twitch, their expressions turning grave. It was clear to everyone, the clash between these two was approaching its inevitable conclusion. The ancient floating pagoda floated quietly in the air, surrounded by the 8 menacing demon golems. They emitted an aura of sheer malice so potent it twisted the very fabric of space around them. "Is that the legendary 8-fold pagoda?" A shocked murmur rippled through the crowd near the divine transformation pool, as they recognized the iconic formation. Not only has Mu Chen mastered the one chi transforms 3 purities technique, but he's also summoned the 8-fold pagoda. Of the 36 peerless divine abilities, he's managed to master 2 of them. Numerous experts whispered in awe. The Great Thousand Worlds were home to countless divine abilities, but only 36 were considered the pinnacle, making this achievement extraordinarily rare and powerful. Huang Xuanzhi had achieved his formidable strength through the 9 Revolutions Saint Ascension art, one of those 36 divine abilities. But now, Mu Chen had mastered 2. Such a feat was truly astonishing. The Phoenix King Huang Jin stared at the water mirror, his expression slightly pale and grim. His eyes were deep in thought. He hadn't expected Chen to not only withstand Huang Xuanzhi's deadly attacks but also launch a ruthless counteroffensive. Behind him, the Phoenix clan elders exchanged uneasy glances. It was becoming increasingly clear to them that Huang Xuanzhi's advantage had significantly dwindled. At this point, Chen's strength had surged to the initial immortal grade, putting him on par with Huang Xuanzhi. Coupled with the terrifying power of the eightfold pagoda, what kind of devastating blow could he deliver next? Let's hope the young clan leader can withstand this. Chen's rise in power has its limits. If we can survive this onslaught, his strength will quickly dissipate. That will be our moment to strike, one elder murmured. Exactly. Just hold on, and Chen will inevitably fall, another added. While such discussion swirled around the divine transformation pool, Huang Xuanzhi stood atop the golden phoenix, his gaze cold as he locked eyes with the 8 demon golems. His thoughts mirrored those of the Phoenix clan elders. Chen's momentum was indeed overwhelming, but as long as he could endure this brief period, Huang Xuanzhi was confident that Chen would soon return to his true form. Since you wish to fight, then I'll stay until the very end. Huang Xuanzhi's eyes began to redden with veins of blood. As the young clan leader of the Phoenix clan, his pride ran deep. Despite Chen's imposing presence, Huang Xuanzhi was determined. If he put all his strength into defending, he didn't believe Chen could truly defeat him. Far away, Chen paid no heed to Huang Xuanzhi's chilling glare. He raised his head, his eyes focused on the 8 demon golems floating outside the floating pagoda. With a single hand gesture, a beam of celestial light shot from his heavenly spirit cap, rising into the sky. It contained boundless spiritual energy, stirring the very seas beneath. Roar! As the celestial beam soared, the 8 demon golems suddenly emitted low growls, as if they were coming back to life. They opened their massive jaws, sucking in the immense spiritual energy contained within the beam, devouring it completely. After absorbing such a vast amount of spiritual energy, the already terrifying malevolent aura surrounding the demon golems began to surge wildly. That oppressive aura sent shivers down the spines of the experts around the divine transformation pool. It felt as though the demon golems had truly come to life. After all, these demon golems were forged using the bodies of hundreds of demon emperors. In the Great Thousand Worlds, that was equivalent to using the bodies of hundreds of heavenly supremes. The very thought was enough to send a chill down anyone's spine. Chen remained expressionless as he glanced at Huang Xuanzhi, then abruptly formed a hand seal. As the seals on his hands shifted, the 8 demon golems simultaneously activated the same seals. In the blink of an eye, 8 blood-red beams of light shot out from their palms, interlinking and forming an intricately complex octagonal light array. Within the array, a malevolent force surged wildly before beginning to compress, ultimately forming a dark red sphere of light, about the size of a human. The surface of the sphere was covered with mottled blood streaks, exuding a chilling, vicious aura. Just a glance was enough to send a spirit-grade heavenly supreme into a frenzy, their spiritual energy destabilizing and spiraling out of control. Huang Xuanzhi also felt the terrifying wave of energy. His pupils suddenly contracted, his handsome face twisting in slight pain, his eyes filled with horror. Clearly, he had sensed a deadly threat emanating from the dark red sphere. However, Chen didn't give him much time to think. Taking a deep breath, a low voice slowly emanated from his lips, 8-fold pagoda, demonic jade of floating slaughter. Boom. The moment his words fell, the malevolent aura in the air surged to unprecedented levels. The 8 demon golems erupted into a deafening roar that shook the heavens. At that instant, the dark red sphere shot forward like a streak of lightning, aimed straight at Huang Xuanzhi. Crack! Crack! Where the dark red sphere passed, space itself crumbled violently. The destructive power of the attack was enough to leave the countless powerful figures outside the divine transformation pool staring dumbstruck, their faces stricken with terror. Meanwhile, deep beneath the sea, Huang Xuanzhi watched the dark red sphere tear through space. A chill ran up his spine as he, too, sensed the looming presence of death. If that sphere struck him, even he, with all his strength, would likely perish here today. This is the power of the 8-fold pagoda? Truly terrifying. Huang Xuanzhi's eyes flashed with a fierce light. It was already too late to retreat, so he had no choice but to face the attack head-on. Despite Chen's incredible methods, if he thought he could treat Huang Xuanzhi as an easy target, he was gravely mistaken. Roar! Huang Xuanzhi growled low in his throat. His hands moved like lightning, forming seals. With a quick bite to his tongue, he spat out a mouthful of golden blood. The golden blood shot forth, and as it left his mouth, Huang Xuanzhi's complexion grew pale. But he couldn't afford to care. The golden halos behind him spun rapidly, drawing in the golden blood as it was absorbed. Boom, boom. As the golden blood was consumed, the golden halos expanded violently, releasing an unknown and ominous energy. In the next moment, golden light shot out in all directions. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 8 beams of golden light simultaneously shot out, surrounding Huang Xuanzhi. 8 peak divine abilities were activated simultaneously. However, even after activating these 8 abilities, the golden halos behind him continued to rotate. Through sheer force, a 9th, ominous and powerful beam of golden light slowly began to emerge. With Huang Xuanzhi's current strength, he could not normally summon the 9th divine ability. But given the situation, he had no choice but to force it out. Splurt. Huang Xuanzhi looked at the slow emergence of the 9th golden light, his eyes flashing with malice. He spat out another mouthful of golden blood, which fused into the rotating halos. This time, the 9th, mysterious golden light finally took shape. However, forcing it out caused small cracks to appear on the golden halos, which greatly pained Huang Xuanzhi. He knew that even if he won today, he would need a long period of recovery to heal. Damn Chen. Huang Xuanzhi gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with cold killing intent. You think you can defeat me with a single fatal blow? I'll show you just how naive that thought is. 9 Revolutions Ascension Art, Phoenix Bowl of 9 Revolutions. A low growl rang out, and in an instant, the 9 dazzling beams of golden light converged. The golden light spun wildly, transforming into a massive golden bowl. Above the bowl, a true phoenix soared, emitting a shrill cry, while breathing out phoenix flame that seemed capable of annihilating heaven and earth. The phoenix bowl spun rapidly, enclosing Huang Xuanzhi within it. This was the most powerful divine ability of the 9 Revolutions Ascension Art. Though he was barely able to execute it, its power was still beyond measure. Huang Xuanzhi's eyes turned bloodshot as he fixed his gaze on Chen. He refused to believe that Chen could break through his defenses. If I can survive this, the fate of Chen will be in my hands. Huang Xuanzhi thought. Come at me, he roared. In the midst of Huang Xuanzhi's furious shout, and under the horrified gazes of the onlookers outside the divine transformation pool, the dark red blood sphere hurtled down from the sky, crashing heavily into the golden phoenix bowl. Boom. In that instant, it felt as though the heavens and earth were shaking. The entire emerald sea depths were stirred, as if billions of waves had surged up. Even the tremors were transmitted to the lake, causing countless waterfalls to erupt, transforming into torrential rain that flooded the mountain forests. The powerful figures of various divine beast races were horrified. They knew that the divine transformation pool itself was a space unto its own, vast and endless. Yet even so, the collision between Chen and Huang Xuanzhi had sent shockwaves beyond. How terrifying must their clash have been? The torrential rain poured down, but all eyes were fixed firmly on the water mirror. Within it, dazzling light was wildly raging, continuing for several minutes before it slowly began to dissipate. Among the many gazes, including that of Phoenix King Huang Jin, Patriarch Tian Huang, and others, they all held their breath, their eyes locked onto the spectacle. Within the water mirror, the light gradually faded, and the scene once again became clear. Then, everyone's pupils constricted as they saw that the golden phoenix bowl was flashing with golden light. Above the golden phoenix bowl, a dark red sphere of light was spinning rapidly and shrinking. Did it block it? Seeing this, the elders of the Phoenix clan immediately showed expressions of wild joy, as they could feel that the power of the dark red sphere was rapidly dissipating. In just a few breaths, the dark red sphere had shrunk to the size of a human head. Huang Xuanzhi's face also revealed a look of ecstatic joy. Victory was within his grasp. Crack. However, just at that moment, a faint cracking sound rang out, sharp and piercing. Huang Xuanzhi abruptly raised his head, and his pupils contracted in shock as he saw, at the point where the dark red sphere had fallen, a small crack had quietly appeared on the golden phoenix bowl. Crack, crack. The small crack spread like a burst dam, rapidly expanding. In the blink of an eye, it covered every corner of the golden phoenix bowl. At this point, the dark red sphere was only the size of a palm. You lost. From a distance, Chen said coldly, his face emotionless. Bang. As soon as Chen's final word fell, the golden phoenix bowl finally reached its limit. In that moment, it exploded with a thunderous sound. Huang Xuanzhi's eyes were filled with horror. His phoenix wings abruptly unfurled, attempting to retreat with explosive speed. Whoosh. However, at that moment, The palm-sized dark red sphere descended, crashing directly into his chest. Half of Huang Xuanzhi's body exploded, and the massive golden phoenix silhouette beneath him froze, its form shattering into countless golden light dots. Huang Xuanzhi's body helplessly fell amidst the golden light, completely lifeless. Outside the divine transformation pool, the air seemed to freeze. Torrential rain covered the world outside the divine transformation pool, but within the rain, there was a chilling silence. All the powerful figures were staring blankly at the water mirror, their expressions frozen in shock. Within the water mirror, Huang Xuanzhi's body helplessly fell, half of it shattered, having been severely injured and knocked unconscious. At this point, the battle had finally come to an end. Though the result was unexpected for most, as harsh as it was the truth. Looking at Huang Xuanzhi's tragic state, no one could find an excuse. How could this be? The powerful figures of the divine beast races muttered in disbelief, their eyes filled with horror. After all, Huang Xuanzhi had an illustrious reputation among the divine beast races. He was undoubtedly one of the top-tier geniuses, and over the years, countless strong warriors had fallen to his hand, making his name even more resplendent. However, who would have thought that this invincible genius, Huang Xuanzhi, would fall today at the hands of a human genius? Despite their shock after witnessing the terrifying battle earlier, they had no choice but to admit that Chen was far more terrifying than they had imagined. No wonder he had shaken the Futu ancient clan to its core. As the experts of the divine beast races marveled, the Phoenix clan remained silent. Phoenix King Huang Jin's face turned pale, and the elders of the Phoenix clan behind him stood frozen, unable to accept the result. Their clan's top-tier genius, one who had been invincible, had just lost like this? They had been hoping that Huang Xuanzhi would withstand Chen's final strike and then retaliate with a thunderous counterattack to win. But who could have imagined that Chen's final blow would be so overwhelming, directly crushing Huang Xuanzhi's full defense? Compared to the calmness of the Phoenix clan, Patriarch Tian Huang's expression was one of wild joy, his entire body trembling with excitement. Behind him, Elder Lu of the 9 Nether clans stood in stunned silence, swallowing hard. This Chen, truly terrifying, he murmured. With his mid-spirit grade strength, Chen had actually defeated Huang Xuanzhi, who was at the early Immortal grade. If this got out, it would undoubtedly elevate Chen's fame to another level. After all, the weight of Huang Xuanzhi's early Immortal grade was not something the elder from the Futu ancient clan could compare with. The 9 Nether clans' connection with Chen truly is the greatest opportunity of our lives, Patriarch Tian Huang sighed. He recalled how they had all opposed the bloodline bond between the 9 Nether clan and Chen, believing that Chen would be a burden to them. But who could have predicted that now, Chen had not only avoided being a hindrance, but had become the 9 Nether clans' greatest support. After this battle, the 9 Nether clans standing among the divine beast races would likely rise as well. Those who had once coveted the 9 Nether clan would probably reconsider their plans. All of this was thanks to Chen. Outside the divine transformation pool, as everyone was in shock, deep beneath the Emerald Sea, Chen exhaled a long breath. The floating pagoda turned into a streak of light and entered his heavenly spirit cap. His glazed spirit body slowly dissolved and transformed into flesh and blood. This guy truly deserves to be one of the Phoenix clan's top talents, Chen muttered as he looked at the pitiful form of Huang Xuanzhi. Only after truly fighting him did he realize how formidable Huang Xuanzhi was. Even he had been forced to use both the 1 Qi transforms 3 purities and the 8-fold pagoda, 2 of the 36 divine abilities, to defeat him. So, though Huang Xuanzhi was obnoxious, he truly was one of the top geniuses of the Phoenix clan. Compared to him, all the opponents Chen had faced before paled in comparison. But even though Huang Xuanzhi was powerful, the one who would laugh last was not him. With a wave of his sleeve, Chen sent 3 beams of blood light shooting from Huang Xuanzhi's body, which landed in his hand. They were the 6/10 of the semi-saint blood pills that Huang Xuanzhi had stolen from Kong Linger and the others. Finally, they're in my hands. Looking at the 3 blood pills, a smile unconsciously appeared on Chen's face. With them, he was confident that the true dragon and true phoenix spirits within him would finally evolve. Whoosh! Just as Chen collected the 3 blood pills, Huang Xuanzhi's severely injured body suddenly erupted in golden light, wrapping him up before shooting out of the divine transformation pool like a streak of light. Chen didn't try to stop him. Just as he knew Huang Xuanzhi wouldn't dare to kill him, he too couldn't truly kill Huang Xuanzhi. After all, both sides had saints backing them. The fight was within the rules, But if things escalated, it would be a huge problem for both sides. Chen wasn't yet strong enough to contend with saints, so he had no intention of causing trouble for his mother. As for Huang Xuanzhi, though tricky, Chen wasn't afraid of him. After this battle, Huang Xuanzhi would need a long time to recover. By the time he fully recovered, Chen might have entered the Immortal grade, and defeating him again would be a piece of cake. As Huang Xuanzhi's body was enveloped in golden light and shot out of the divine transformation pool, a streak of light appeared beside Chen, and the stunning Nether emerged beside him. Her beautiful eyes still held a trace of shock as she looked at him. "You freak, you really did defeat Huang Xuanzhi." Nether bit her crimson lips, her eyes wide with a mix of surprise and delight. This result clearly caught her off guard. Although she had full faith in Chen, at the beginning, she had only believed that even if Chen couldn't defeat Huang Xuanzhi, he at least had the strength to take her away from him. But who would have thought that Chen didn't have any intention of running from Huang Xuanzhi? Instead, he had chosen the most direct and efficient way to defeat him, making sure that Huang Xuanzhi would never covet her bloodline again. Quite the harvest, Chen tossed the 3 blood pills in his hand and grinned. As he spoke, his gaze suddenly shifted to the side. There, Conlinger and the others were cautiously flying over, their eyes fixed on the semi-saint blood pills in his hand. It was only now that they had snapped out of their daze from Huang Xuanzhi's defeat. But immediately, they recalled the semi-saint blood pills. "Brother Mu." Conlinger's beautiful face blossomed with a charming smile, her eyes full of grace. "Higi, farewell. Until we meet again." However, Chen didn't give her a chance to speak. With a slight smile, he directly grabbed Jiuyu's hand and turned into a streak of light, shooting out of the divine transformation pool at an astonishing speed. How could he not know what Conlinger and the others were plotting? These naive fools still wanted to take back the semi-saint blood pill from his hands. Not to mention that this was his trophy, but Conlinger and her group had never had any good intentions from the start. Their plan had always been to use him to restrain Huang Xuanzhi. Since they were scheming this way, Chen had no reason to be polite. Conlinger's beautiful smile froze on her face. Watching Chen's rapidly disappearing figure, her eyebrows shot up in anger, and her teeth clenched. Lin Song and Xiao Tian beside her looked just as frustrated, their faces filled with unwillingness. But no matter how unwilling they were, they didn't dare to stop Chen from forcibly taking the blood pill. Didn't they see that even Huang Xuanzhi had been defeated by him? If they went up, they'd just be walking into their own doom. The 3 of them exchanged a glance and hung their heads in defeat, their hearts filled with regret. If they had known that Chen was this abnormal and even Huang Xuanzhi couldn't stand against him, they wouldn't have bothered with all these schemes. They should have just followed Chen from the start. There was no way Huang Xuanzhi could take the blood pill from them then. Unfortunately, regret was useless now. This trip to the divine transformation pool had already been a lost cause for them. Splash! The surface of the divine transformation pool broke open, and 2 figures shot out under the countless unblinking gazes. The moment they emerged from the pool, Chen immediately sensed something was off. The glances coming at him were filled with fear, and when he looked back, they quickly averted their eyes, as though he were some sort of demon. It was enough to leave him speechless. Shaking his head in frustration, Chen didn't bother with them. He landed in front of Patriarch Tian Huang, smiling. "Mission accomplished. I brought Jiuyu back in one piece." Patriarch Tian Huang smiled with excitement, patting Chen on the shoulder. "Chen, you are the benefactor of my Jiuyu clan. On behalf of the entire clan, I thank you." Seeing the Patriarch about to bow in gratitude, Chen quickly stopped him. "Senior, you're being too kind. If it weren't for the Jiuyu clan's protection back then, I wouldn't have made it to where I am today. This little thing is nothing." Patriarch Tian Huang smiled with satisfaction, though a hint of shame crossed his face. "Jiuyu's judgment is indeed sharper than ours." Chen chuckled. "The divine transformation pool is over. Let's leave. I feel a bit uncomfortable with all these eyes on me." He wasn't about to stick around any longer. After all, the semi-saint blood essence was already in his hands. "Humph, you think you can leave that easily? Leave the semi-saint blood essence behind." A cold snort rang out just as Chen finished speaking. Chen narrowed his eyes and turned to look at the elder of the Phoenix clan. "Is that the Phoenix clan stance?" The Phoenix clan elder's eyes flashed with coldness, about to speak, but was immediately reprimanded by Huang Jin, the Phoenix queen, who barked, "Shut up." Reluctantly, the elder of the Phoenix clan fell silent, feeling the disdainful glares from the nearby Divine Beast clan experts. In the world of divine beasts, strength spoke above all. With Huang Xuanzhi's defeat at Mu Chen's hands, the semi-saint blood essence naturally belonged to him as a trophy. Now, the Phoenix clan was using their power to oppress him, making it look rather shameful. Thankfully, Huang Jin wasn't blinded by anger and quickly stopped the elder. He glared at Mu Chen, his voice cold. The Phoenix clan hasn't lost that badly yet. Since you defeated Xuanzhi, the Phoenix clan will admit defeat this time. Mu Chen raised an eyebrow in surprise and glanced at him. He chuckled inwardly. If Huang Jin didn't have a Saint-grade Grandmaster mother backing him, Mu Chen doubted he would have acted with such grace today. But Mu Chen wasn't in the mood to argue further. With a brief salute, he turned and vanished in a flash of light, with Jiao Yu and Patriarch Tian Huang quickly following behind. At this moment, his priority was to refine and absorb the semi-saint blood essence. He had a feeling that the true dragon and true phoenix spirits within him would undergo a significant transformation through this. And he was very much looking forward to it. Around the divine transformation pool, many powerful experts from the divine beast clans watched Mu Chen leave in style, unable to hold back their sighs. They knew that after today, Mu Chen's reputation in the Great Thousand Worlds would undoubtedly rise to even greater heights. Jiao Yu clan. On the back mountain of the Nine Nether clan, Mu Chen sat cross-legged on a piece of blue stone. After leaving the Phoenix clan, he did not return to Mu Manor, but instead followed Nine Nether to the Nine Nether clan. This was because Nine Nether needed to refine the quasi-saint blood essence here to complete her evolution, and Mu Chen naturally planned to protect her throughout the process. Of course, he also needed a safe place to refine the 60% of quasi-saint blood essence in his possession. Mu Chen raised his head and gazed at a towering mountain in the distance. This mountain was completely barren, devoid of any plants, and it appeared to be emitting a searing heat, causing the air around it to shimmer with rising steam. It was within this mountain that Nine Nether was beginning her evolution. Nine Nether has already begun her seclusion. I hope she succeeds, said Patriarch Tian Huang, who stood beside Mu Chen. Though his expression was calm, Mu Chen could still sense a hint of anxiety in his demeanor. Don't worry, she will succeed, Mu Chen reassured him with a smile. Patriarch Tian Huang nodded, and then smiled at Mu Chen. You can also enter seclusion here. I've given orders to seal off the mountains within 100,000 miles. No one is allowed to enter, so you should not be disturbed. A few days ago, when Mu Chen and the others arrived at the Nine Nether clan, the news they brought caused a massive stir. The matter of Huang Xuanzhi's interest in the Nine Nether Undying Phoenix bloodline had left many in the clan frustrated and angry, but they had been helpless due to the strength of the Phoenix clan. They had originally believed that Nine Nether was doomed, but who would have thought that Mu Chen would suddenly intervene? What shocked everyone even more was that he had actually defeated Huang Xuanzhi. Among the divine beast races, especially in their avian clan, Huang Xuanzhi's reputation was undeniable, but no one had expected that even he would be defeated by Mu Chen. When this news reached the Nine Nether clan, Mu Chen became an idol for the younger generation. Now, whenever Mu Chen appeared in the clan, he would be met with countless intense gazes, making him feel somewhat uncomfortable. So, upon hearing Patriarch Tian Huang's words, Mu Chen secretly sighed in relief and said, "Then I will trouble Patriarch Tian Huang." Patriarch Tian Huang waved his hand, took another glance at the mountain where Nine Nether was in seclusion, and said, "I will not disturb you further. We will have people keep an eye on things here. If you need any assistance, feel free to send a message." Mu Chen smiled and nodded. Seeing this, Patriarch Tian Huang no longer said anything. With a movement, he transformed into a streak of light and disappeared into the distance. As Mu Chen watched Patriarch Tian Huang's figure fade away, his expression gradually became solemn. He took a deep breath, waved his sleeve, and 3 blood pills shot out from his robe, floating in front of him. On the blood pills, there were spiritual energy markings, a seal set by Mu Chen to prevent the blood chi within from leaking out. Though the blood pills were sealed, Mu Chen could still feel the true dragon and true phoenix spirits hidden within him stir, letting out greedy roars of dragon and phoenix. They really can't wait. Mu Chen chuckled helplessly, then formed a seal with his hands. At that moment, his blood and flesh shook, and dragon and phoenix shadows appeared on his skin. With a hiss, the dragon and phoenix shadows exerted force, breaking free from Mu Chen's flesh, rapidly expanding in the wind, and finally transforming into a giant dragon and a giant phoenix soaring above him. The giant dragon and phoenix were both dazzling gold, as if forged from gold, majestic and noble, far from ordinary. These were the true dragon and true phoenix spirits, though their bodies were still slightly ethereal and not fully solidified. The spiritual energy fluctuations emanating from them only reached the level of perfect Earth Supreme. I hope this quasi-saint blood essence doesn't disappoint me, Chen muttered to himself, then snapped his fingers. The spiritual energy seals on the 3 blood pills dissolved, and with the seals removed, an overwhelming blood chi erupted, turning the surrounding sky a deep red. In the sky above, the true dragon and true phoenix spirits released an intense and greedy roar, then opened their massive mouths and sucked in the blood chi, as if they were devouring the essence of the world. Faced with the absorption of the true dragon and true phoenix spirits, the 3 blood pills seemed like bottomless pits, continuously spewing out boundless blood energy. Despite this, the spirits showed no sign of weakening. Clearly, the vitality within them was far beyond imagination. As the blood energy continued to be consumed, the true dragon and true phoenix spirits, which had shown no change for years, began to stir. Their once dazzling golden bodies gradually became deeper in hue, and ancient patterns faintly grew on their dragon scales and phoenix feathers. It was as if their illusory souls were being infused with flesh and blood, becoming more and more tangible. Chen gazed up at the scene, smiling faintly. But he knew this was just the beginning. To complete the transformation of the true dragon and true phoenix spirits, a massive amount of blood energy was still needed. Fortunately, the 6 full-fledged saint blood pills were more than sufficient. Next, we wait. Chen muttered, his eyes gradually closing as he entered a meditative state. When Chen finally opened his eyes, a full month had passed. During this month, the entire forest was shrouded by an overwhelming surge of blood energy. The intensity of this energy caused thick blood clouds to form in the sky. The sight was frightening, but fortunately, this area was remote and, with Patriarch Tian Huang's orders, no one dared to intrude. Chen's eyes scanned the sky. By now, the dragon and phoenix shapes were no longer visible, only thick blood clouds that gathered and slowly took the shape of 2 enormous blood eggs. Before Chen, the 3 saint blood essences had shrunk by half, but they still exuded overwhelming blood energy. A smile appeared on Chen's face as he sensed 2 extremely powerful life forces developing deep within the blood egg-like clouds. His gaze shifted from the clouds downward, towards a distant barren mountain, where black flames were flickering, rising from its core. Under the burning black flames, the massive mountain seemed to be melting. Deep within the mountain, something seemed to be emerging from its cocoon, releasing an ancient and mysterious aura. It seems the 9 Nether's evolution is nearly complete. Chen thought with some anticipation. If the evolution succeeded, the 9 Nether would enter the ranks of the Supreme Divine Beast, stepping into the Heavenly Supreme Realm. I suppose I should accelerate things on my end as well. With this thought, Chen changed his hand seals, causing the blood energy flowing from the 3 saint blood essences to become even more potent. Then, he closed his eyes once more. When Chen opened his eyes again, he was jolted awake by an intense, violent thunderous roar that seemed to shake the very heavens. Looking into the distance, he saw dark storm clouds gathering above the 9 Nether mountain, where thunder serpents danced wildly, accumulating destructive thunder tribulation energy. It's the thunder tribulation. Chen's eyes narrowed. Just as humans encounter heavenly obstacles when breaking through to the Heavenly Supreme, divine beasts also undergo a trial when evolving into supreme divine beasts, drawing down the wrath of heaven and earth for tempering. And since the thunder tribulation had appeared, it meant the 9 Nether was on the verge of success. Chen glanced at the thick storm clouds and suddenly sensed another fluctuation of spiritual energy. Turning his head, he saw Patriarch Tian Huang and many elders of the 9 Nether clan gathered atop a distant peak, all anxiously watching the dark storm clouds. Boom! Boom! At that moment, the thunderclouds exploded, and a colossal thunderbolt descended from the sky. As it struck, the air burned with the scent of scorching energy, revealing the terrifying power contained within. Roar! Just as the thunderbolt was about to strike the mountain engulfed in black flames, a jet-black fire pillar surged upward, colliding with the thunderbolt in a massive explosion. Boom! The clash between the fire pillar and thunderbolt sent a shockwave through the heavens and earth, but after a brief struggle, both forces gradually dissipated. Boom! Boom! The thunder tribulation, however, was clearly not going to be that simple. Soon, the thunderclouds began to churn, and continuous silver lightning bolts, each one more terrifying than the last, rained down relentlessly from the sky. The bolts struck the mountain furiously, as if trying to destroy whatever was within it. In response to this onslaught, the mountain erupted with towering black flames. The flames formed a fiery shield, enveloping the entire mountain as the thunder struck relentlessly. Boom! 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 The thunder kept falling, the force growing more and more terrifying with each strike. Under such pressure, the black flame shield began to weaken, and with a massive crack, it shattered completely. High above, the thunderclouds began to contract, and in the next moment, a bolt of lightning, far larger than any before, descended with pinpoint accuracy, striking the summit of the mountain. From a distance, Patriarch Tian Huang and the others watched in horror as the mountain began to crumble. It was as if the mountain was melting, and in the blink of an eye, it was reduced to nothing but flat ground. Screech. But just then, a massive burst of black flames shot up into the sky. The flames spread out into vast wings like those of a dark cloud, swirling around, and with a terrifying, gaping mouth that resembled a black hole, it swallowed the lightning whole. A sharp, clear cry of a phoenix echoed through the heavens. Everyone looked up in shock. In the sky above, a black phoenix, its body engulfed in black flames, soared gracefully. A mysterious and ancient aura, filled with dignity and majesty, radiated out, covering the entire world. Chen, watching the black phoenix burning with black flames, couldn't help but take a deep breath. A look of deep satisfaction appeared on his face. Now, the Nine Nether had finally completed its ultimate evolution, breaking free from the ordinary form of a divine beast and becoming a true super-divine beast. The ancient undying bird. As Chen reveled in the success of the Nine Nether, his expression suddenly changed. His gaze shot up toward the thick blood clouds. In that instant, he vaguely felt that a life force within was reaching its peak. Is it finally about to emerge?